I'm writing a paper on the Affordable Care Act versus the American Care Act, aka Trump Care versus Obamacare, for a class in American government. The first place I look for information is Google, simply because it's the most widely used and widely accessible search engine out there. It's pretty easy. I begin the research process with a quick Google search of the Trump Care bill, and I use those terms because Trump Care is simply the layman's term and probably the more common term for what this new bill is offering. I start off by using the top stories at Google, which is another reason why I love it. It gives you the news. I like to open many tabs. So I'll open a tab on the Huffington Post because I'm pretty sure they're really reliable. Same with the New York Times, and same with USA Today. I chose these links because not only are they in the top stories, but these are pretty credible news sources. And I like to just get a general idea of what I'm looking at.
Are heading back home thanks to Dawn. Rescue workers only trust Dawn.
Then I'll look up Obamacare and try to find those same sites. So I'll try to find one on the Huffington Post, try to find one on the New York Times, here we go, and then one for USA Today. Here we go. I will save this source.
Anniversary dinner, darling.
If I could mute it. I will save this source on the Huffington Post because it's a article that gives the pros and cons of both of them versus having to look at separate pages for both of these bills or articles. And I keep up with the information I locate by either just jotting it down as a note in my phone or simply memorizing the websites or whatever I Googled. I'm scrolling through all of these different bulletins, and Huffington Post gives you, along with other websites, they give you little reading markers so you know where you're at or the topic you're looking at or whatever. Another reason why I choose these types of links. Another thing I go to on occasion, depending on what I'm researching, is I'll go on Twitter. And I'll just search the term in Twitter and see what people are talking about it. You get more of a down-to-earth, a more like real response or accurate representation of what people think about this. So I'll go on Twitter and I'll search Trump Care versus Obamacare. And I will just scroll through the tweets, just seeing what the general people have to say. And Twitter's a good platform because it lets people give you just their blatant, honest opinion. They may post a picture if they feel bad about it, or they may refer to one of Trump's tweets, which he's known to have so many of, if they feel a certain way about it. So for research like this, Twitter is probably a great place. And as I'm scrolling, I can see a lot of comparisons, a lot of articles, a lot of threads of the pros and cons of each. I see some tweets from Donald Trump himself here. And I'll probably keep up with this search simply by going on Twitter again every once in a while and on different intervals and seeing what's updates or what people are thinking about it now. Okay, now I'm changing the search term to why was Trump Care cancelled? Or maybe that's not the right term, but that's why I love Google. It'll go ahead and sort all that out for me. So in cases like this, I don't really see a website that I'm too familiar with or that I think has the most amount of credibility. Not on the front page anyway, so I'll click on the News tab in Google. The news tab, here we go. It gives me Daily Mail, which is a pretty credible source. The Chicago Tribune, Fox News is Change the search term one more time to what is Trump Care. And here we go. The first website is actually trumpcare.com. I would assume this is pretty official. Yep, and when you look in the URL, address is another way I do research, or links I like to choose. I like to choose these links because, at least with Google Chrome, it shows you if it's a secure web page. Generally, secure web pages or secure URLs are probably a little more credible or reliable, simply because of the amount of security they're trying to put into it. And this website I just picked is pretty good. I'll probably save this source again because I'll probably save this source by simply jotting it in my phone or a note. Or if I was on my laptop, it has a feature to where I think all laptops may have it, feature to take screenshots. I might take a screenshot of a particular part of the article or a particular picture and just leave it on my desktop for further, like to find it at a later time. I'm scrolling down this page, and this is actually giving a lot of things. It's showing the price comparisons, conditions, Medicaid funding, prescription drugs, tax deductions. So this is probably one of the better web pages I've come to when doing this research. Yeah, this website, trumpcare.com, is giving a lot more, just quantitative data. Is giving a lot more numbers and a lot more statistics and a lot more, just facts and percentages and looks like pretty accurate numbers. It's saying apparently Trump Care is one of their biggest points is with Medicare. They could try to save over $300 billion a year with Medicare. It's a lot of numbers. They're shooting out a lot of. Now, I definitely wouldn't only use this website simply because you could imagine a website called trumpcare.com is probably a little biased, the same way the Windows website probably isn't going to give you the best information if you're trying to buy a MacBook. So let's open another tab and see if Obamacare.com is a website, and it is. Doesn't look as refined or as informative as the Trump Care website. So I'll just search Obamacare in Google instead. Alright, well, I'll just go to healthcare.gov. That was about the first website that popped up. I guess that'd be pretty informative place to. And generally, when I'm doing research, I just like to have a lot of tabs open because I'm a visual kind of guy, so I need to see all of these things in front of me and be able to compare and contrast what article I want to look at or what information I want to take from what source. At the bottom of the Trump Care page, they do have links and resources, pretty much like a little bibliography, which would be useful. I like websites like that. of my first initial search of what is Trump care. And I'm noticing you can't really search Trump care without the phrase Obamacare popping up too, so that would probably change what my search terms are. Simply because I guess those two are going so hand in hand, they're so important with each other right now. Here's an article from the New York Mag of 3 days ago. Why Obamacare defeated Trump care. This definitely seems to be a much more wordy article. Just giving you a lot more paragraphs and phrases versus numbers and statistics, but it's still a good source either way. Heading back to the first tab I opened on USA Today, which is an article from today that was updated 38 minutes ago, so I try to always have a tab or two open that's like maybe it's the Twitter news tab or something that's refreshing or being updated by the minute or by the hour. And so in this USA Today article, it's talking about the stock market falling 0.7% after Trump care got pulled. This was updated 38 minutes ago, so I guess this is happening in real time.
Italian food is simple. You get
Interestingly enough, this next article right here, even though the stock market fell, hospital stocks actually rose after Trump care was pulled. It's pretty interesting. And that was updated 2 hours ago, so I'm assuming it's a little older than the other one, but
simple. You get quality ingredients.
I'm looking at this quote, which I would assume a website like USA Today wouldn't be falsely quoting or misquoting anybody. It says that House Speaker Paul Ryan said that Obamacare remains the law of the land. If this was his quote and was updated as recently as 2 hours ago, I guess this is a sort of inclination that Obamacare has the upper hand for now, I guess. Or even if that's the case, that Trump care isn't I guess doing what it was thought it would do. Paul Ryan also said we're going to be living with Obamacare for the foreseeable future. That's one thing I like about articles from like New York Times or USA Today or Huffington Post is that they'll give quotes and they'll give videos and they'll acknowledge that we're in the 21st century and there's more to just numbers and simple things. There's ways to prove and to really show us what's going on. We can look in these government officials' eyes and hear the tone of their voice when they're saying what they're saying and doing what they're doing. And I'll probably open Twitter one last time and search Trump care again. I'll actually put hashtag Trump care just to get a little more results. Go to the latest tweets.
We're done.